Richard Wilson is one of Britain's most celebrated contemporary sculptors. His work blurs the line between architecture and engineering, working as he frequently does with the illusory perceptions of form and space. With an international reputation that has earned him 2 nominations for the Turner Prize, Wilson works here, inside one of his own creations, The Slice, in London's Greenwich. His most recognised work so far includes 2050, ostensibly a room filled with sump oil, and is notably the Saatchi Gallery's only permanent installation. Wilson's Turning the Place Over is another feat of design, literally turning a Liverpool building inside out, and has been described as the most daring public art ever commissioned in the UK. But it's Wilson's latest project, created within London's Heathrow Airport, that promises to be his most exciting yet.
I wanted to really give an identity to Terminal 2. And following on to that identity, I think I wanted to make the space a very democratic space. And by that I mean I wanted the sculpture to be felt as if it was owned by the audience that were in the airport at that time. Like, oh, look at that, that's ours. I'm in my airport and this is our piece of work. And I wanted something that somehow moved and evolved as the passer-by witnessed the work. So the idea of these long walkways and bridges meant that we had many different angles on the piece, and the piece would evolve as you moved along it. The concept of an object moving in space and what track does it leave was something that I'd been thinking about. And when I was approached by Future City about being on a possible long list for Heathrow, I started to think about the mileage in that, with an aeroplane being the object, a little stunt plane being the object. So we're taking aluminium and we're polishing it, and then we're having it anodized, and we're really not building the Douglas aeroplane again, but we're pop riveting. So we've got the Airstream Caravan meets the 50s design in aeroplane technology. And I think all of that is about racing cars, about engines, about super streamlining, speed, endeavour, challenge, sort of, was it the Schneider Cup, building aeroplanes, engines to break records. And I think in a way, the piece might have a little bit of that tingle, and people might think, yeah, this is great, flight, look at that.
Slipstream, the piece's working title, will take centre stage in the central court at the new T2 building at Heathrow. But with something so vast and complex, what can we expect to see?
I have a vague idea, but of all the pieces, it's the one I can't draw. It's the one we've had to do in the virtual world on the engineers' computers. I can gesticulate furiously, and I even had an aeroplane in a hamster ball, clear hamster ball, and rolled it down a track and said, see what it's doing? That's what I want to do. But to try and draw that, I can only scribble it. But I have fun playing with all my felt and paper clips and card and that sort of thing. And actually I quite like working that way because it helps me. It's almost like going to the gym and building on your muscles. It's like me going to the mental gym and, I mentally work out with the idea because I'm fidgeting and I'm seeing things. And, the next stage is it then gets made on the computer. And then from that we can render up a 3D model in stages and put together. So it's exciting for me. I'm learning things that way.
From its beginnings here in a humble riverside studio on the edge of the Thames to its 2014 unveiling in one of the world's busiest airports, Wilson's latest project has the potential to become his most thrilling and talked about to date.
I was showing with someone I'd never met before in a gallery in Tel Aviv, and I didn't know him that well, but we met, and he put his show up and I put my show up. And he said, listen, have you ever been here before? I said, yes. But he said, well, have you been to Jerusalem? I said, no. So we drove to Jerusalem, had all day at Old Jerusalem, the Wailing Wall, the whole lot. Came back to this dairy community, this kibbutz. And I went to this family, and they said they only ever travelled once. They've always worked all their life, their whole family on the kibbutz. But they've only been to one place, and that was London. I said, oh, that's where I'm from. And they said, what do you do? And I said, I'm an artist. They said, we know nothing about art, nothing. The only art we know is a room full of oil. And I said, that's me. And they fell on the floor. I lived like a king that evening. But, that's what happens, on the planet. There's these people in the middle of the kibbutz, in the middle of a desert, on the way back to Tel Aviv. And the only thing they know in the art world is this room of oil that obviously got them thinking. So you get things like that, which are... Someone once said something which I thought was a lovely description, you know, which is, he'll never make money, but he'll make a difference.
Great, thank you very much.